I was just gonna, uh, just for a few minutes, talk about the possible threat of severe weather tomorrow, as you saw on the topic, obviously. Um, the last thing I heard um, concerning it, well, this morning when I did the live video talking about it, um, I saw something about after I got home from church today, this afternoon, specifically, that they're that the well, when I told you this morning uh, about the threat possibly being upgraded to a slight risk with that, that's exactly what happened earlier on today. So most most of North Alabama, most of North Alabama is in a slight risk for the possibility of strong to severe storms tomorrow. And basically, from the Shoals to Coleman and farther south, farther south, and there's still a marginal risk for the eastern part of the state. Not not all of Alabama, but most. Basically, perhaps most of north and central Alabama has some type of risk for strong to possibly severe storms. Now, just because some places may be in a marginal risk, that does not mean that it's all clear, or that does not mean you're not going to have severe weather. That does not mean you will not have severe weather at all. It means that you probably could have severe weather. It's just a very, very low threat. It's marginal specifically. So just because some places are in a marginal risk, that does not mean that those that are in the marginal risk, that does not mean they don't need to be on alert, because they need to be on alert. That means you still have to pay attention to the weather. Heavy precipitation has been detected near your location. I'm not surprised about that, as I can hear the rain coming down very hard just a few minutes ago, even though it's settled down, from what I can hear so far, or from what I can tell so far. But but from the Shoals to Huntsville, and or either west of Huntsville or to Huntsville, and even all the way up to Nashville, north and south of Nashville, and east and west of Nashville. They're also in a slight risk for the possibility or potential for strong, for strong to possibly severe storms. Hold on a minute. Okay. Didn't quite understand what that was supposed to be. But anyway. Well, that's obviously going to be before my birthday, which, as you probably know, most of you probably know, my birthday is going to be on the 17th of January. The 17th. The 17th of January. That's the day that was my birthday. Of course, I was born on January the 17th of 1993. You're welcome, Andy. Uh, excuse me. Um, but anyway, regardless of that, um, it's fine. We really talk about the threat of strong to possibly severe storms. And now I will tell you the threats because they're so far that I'm aware of. So, oops, sorry, Siller. Um, as far as I know, the most, if not all, the TV stations have um, discussed it already so far. So I hope I have, but they've pretty much come into agreement about strong to possibly severe storms, or strong to severe storms being possible and perhaps likely. Um, Now, is it going to be a major severe weather threat? No, but I mean, it's a serious threat. It's not a major threat, but it's still a threat to be that's worth paying very close attention to. And like I've said, I am not saying that to scare anybody. I want to make that very, very clear right now. I am not, by any means, saying that to scare anybody or to make anyone panic or nothing like that. I mean, if you don't tell anyone about severe weather being possible, they're if they don't pay attention to the TV or anything like that, then you have to let them know it's possible. Just not in a way to scare them. Of course, that's not what I'm doing. Not saying to scare anyone. I'm saying to let you know that there is the potential for it. Now, what I have heard from WHNT News 19 and WFF 48 and Way 31 and Channel Channel 54, all out of Huntsville, and even the Birmingham stations. Well, most some of the Birmingham stations have discussed it also. Um, excuse me. That damaging winds would be the primary threat. Damaging winds would be the primary threat, but at the same time, can't rule out that there could be an isolated spin up tornado or two. Is it going to be a major tornado threat? Absolutely not. But it's still something to be paying very close attention to. And from what I've heard from Jason Simpson, from the chief the chief meteorologist at WHNT News 19, and from the crew at WFF 48 News and Way 31 News and Channel 54, all in Huntsville. Um, what I saw from WHNT, well, they've all been talking about the storms possibly coming in sometime in the afternoon. From 48, I've heard them talk about being 2 to 5 or so on the shoals and other times, but the bottom line is, as far as the timing goes, it could be sometime in the afternoon tomorrow when storms could possibly coming into northwest Alabama, and perhaps later on for there is along 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 and east of I 65 Now, like I said, it's not a major severe weather threat. It's a standard slight. I mean, it's basically just the bottom line is it's not a major threat, but it's a threat to be paying attention to, being alert, being aware of, to be aware of. I mean, it's not a major threat, but it's a significant threat. Nothing to, nothing that, not like an outbreak or anything like that. Of course, it really doesn't matter. You still, I mean, if you, the damaging winds and tornadoes they all do the same type of damage, no matter what the rating of them are or the speed of them are. They all do the same type of damage, and you have to take it seriously. Don't need to be scared of them. Just be aware of them and respect the warnings, take them seriously, and take the necessary precautions, and have a readiness kit, and you'll be fine. We'll be fine. And like you've heard me say, a lot of people say, a lot of people would say, have helmets and all that, and know where your safe place is. Bathroom, cooler, closet, hallway, lowest floor, near the center, away from all windows and doors. Basement, storm shelter, safe room. That's all. That's very simple. That's where you need to go and make sure it's without windows and doors. And have put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And have helmets, shoes, all that. That way, if there's damage and if you had to walk through, you don't have to worry about your feet getting cut or severely or anything worse. Or end up getting hurt or killed, basically. Not trying to scare anyone, I promise. Just, I mean, it's just something that we all need to be aware of. And like I said, with the threats, hold on. I don't know why that happened, but it just did. But the threats, damaging winds, of course, in order for them to be severe, they have to be winds 58 miles per hour or greater. That's for the winds. The other threat, which apparently is a low threat, but it doesn't. Hold on. Sorry about that. As I was saying before the interruption occurred, was the primary threats, damaging straight line winds. In order for them to be severe, they have to be 58 miles per hour or greater, or higher, whatever. The other threat that's probably low, what I recall hearing, was hail, which is, of course, for the hail to be severe, it has to be 1 inch in diameter or greater. And the other threat, which is also a low threat, but it's not zero, is a tornado. And from what I remember with a post that Jason Simpson made earlier on, was um, from what Jason Simpson mentioned earlier today, was there'll be a squall, there'll possibly be or would likely be a squall line. And those are bad enough, especially with the damaging winds and the spin up tornadoes, which I don't like either. I don't like them. And one that I especially don't like are the supercells, and those are usually problematic. And from what I heard concerning that, was there may be one or two that could be supercells that would have a possible tornado threat. It says a limited tornado threat, but it really doesn't matter. You still have to pay attention and be prepared to go to your safe place if there are any warnings in place. Severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. You should take both of them seriously. And same thing goes if there's any more flood warnings, flash flood warnings, you name it. All of them. All the warnings that might be issued tomorrow. Make sure you take them seriously and take action if they're issued, and and if they include your current location. And as long as you respect the warnings and you take action and go to your safe place and all, and you have a readiness kit, we're all gonna be fine. We're gonna be alright. We're gonna be okay. And like I said, I'm not I'm not saying any of that to scare I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I promise you I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying it like it is. Not saying to scare anybody. So just keep that in mind. All I can do is pray. Just pray for the best. And when it comes to thunderstorms, be prepared for the unexpected. That's that's all I can do. Be prepared for the unexpected. Just pray for the best. But if there's not enough instability, or if there's not any instability at all, then it probably won't happen. But you know, still have to be prepared, especially being the end, about to be the end of 2000. The, since it's about to be the end of 2018 and entering 2019 on Tuesday, which will be New Year's Day. Alright, that's all I'm gonna talk about for now. If I have if I have time before I go to work tomorrow morning, I will do another live video in the morning discussing the possible or potential threat of strong to possibly severe storms. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this right now, since I will be working tomorrow. specifically from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. or maybe later than that. It just depends on how. It's just going to depend on how busy we are tomorrow. We could be pretty busy tomorrow. I don't know yet, but it's very possible and potentially likely that we will. But anyway, and I apologize for the coughing. As I've said before, I'm over the bronchitis that I had two or 3 or 4 weeks ago. The coughing. Of course, not it's not contagious, but it's just a dry cough. It's nothing contagious. But one thing I've heard a number of times that it's always hard to get rid of. Coughing is always hard to get rid of, unfortunately. But I promise you, I'm not sick anymore. Just this cough that just doesn't want to go away. But it will eventually, I'm sure. But you know what I mean. But if there's any warnings, any severe thunderstorm warnings, or any tornado warnings or flash flood warnings going on from the 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock time frame, or just while I'm working, I will not be able to post information about the warnings, and I won't be able to do a live video on YouTube discussing them. And even if I'm not going into work, if there's warnings in place, I'll have to post the information about them and not do a live video on them because I don't want to be outside doing a live video discussing them and risk my life would not want to risk my life nearly getting struck by lightning or anything worse. So, just giving you an early heads up on that right now. Um, excuse me. Um, but if you have any questions concerning it, feel free to ask me, whether you comment on the link here on this live video or when I send the link to you. If you have any questions concerning the threat of possible severe weather, don't be afraid to ask me. I'll be glad to answer your questions the best I can. And like I said, just know where your safe place is. It's very simple. Basement, storm shelter, basement, storm shelter, safe room. If you don't have any of those, or if there's not one nearby, in a site-built structure, bathroom, cooler, closet, hallway, lowest floor, near the center, away from all windows and doors. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and put helmets on, and put shoes on. That way it won't get risk getting hurt. That way it won't risk getting hurt or anything worse from the head, from your head to your feet. That way it won't risk getting hurt. Won't risk getting hurt. Period. Or killed or anything worse. And do not ignore any warnings that might be issued at any time in the afternoon or evening hours tomorrow. Please do not ignore them. Take them seriously. Make sure your weather radios are working. And make sure you have a very reliable weather app that's very reliable. Have it on your phone, whatever phone it is, iPhone, Android, whatever. And same thing with making sure they're on your tablet or iPad or iPod, whatever you want to call it. And whatever reliable weather app you have, make sure it is set for your current location and have the volume turned up really loud on them. That way, if there's warnings in place, if there's a watch or and a watch and or warning in place tomorrow in the afternoon or evening, that way, if there are any warnings or watches issued tomorrow in the afternoon or evening, you'll get the warnings and alert you. It'll alert you really fast of them. Same thing with the weather radio. Have it turned up really loud. That way, you'll get the warnings. And if you're asleep, they'll wake you up. The sirens will not wake you up. There may be a few times where they will wake you up, but there may also be times where it will probably not wake you up. So don't assume the sirens will be the only thing that'll wake you up, because it probably won't. So just keep all that in mind. Don't panic, but at the same time, don't ignore the warnings. Know where your safe place is. Have a readiness kit. And as long as that's the case, we're all going to be fine. And just be prepared for the unexpected. And just pray for the best. And we're going to be fine. Alright. I'm gonna end this video right now. If I have time before I go to work tomorrow morning, I'll do another live video discussing the possible severe weather threat. We'll see how it goes from there. But don't panic. Just be prepared. I'm not saying any of this to scare anyone. I'm saying it's something to be prepared for, and that's it. Alright. Y'all have a good evening. Stay dry. Be careful on the roads. Don't try to beat the train or anything like that. Have a good night and be safe out there. And if I don't get a chance to do a live video tomorrow, after the possible severe weather is over and all that, have a wonderful and safe and blessed, happy New Year from my family to yours.